Hello, everybody. My name is Benedict, and welcome to our session about Kubernetes the local way. In this session, we are going to show you how to do development jobs and just development by using Kubernetes, but only on your local computer without hyperscaling or something else, just only components which are running on your own local machine. So I would say we just hop into it. Yeah. And first thing I would like to tell you is what tool stack we are using for that. So I've created an incredible paint image here to show all components. So in the center of all is obviously Kubernetes. And as a container registry, we are going to use distribution. That's distribution registry over here. Vulnerability scans will be done with Gripe. Our load balancer is MetalLB. Traffic is our ingress controller. Docker is a container engine. And we are running or writing all our software in Go. And it's working on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And so this brings me to the next point, the elephant in the room here. So as you can see, I'm running Windows here, and under normal circumstances, I'm just using Windows for my gaming rig. For development, I prefer Linux and Mac OS, but this time I'm using Windows, and it's working really great, to be honest. I really like the workflows, and Windows 11 with WSL2 is doing a pretty awesome job. It feels really nice to work with it. But enough Microsoft advertisement here. So let's do what we want to do. So the only thing I prepared on this computer is I have installed Docker Desktop and enabled Kubernetes. We are here in version 1.28.2, and nothing else is done here. So let's fire up terminal and start K9S. Great. So what we can see here, I'm going to make my window smaller and remove me here. Okay, so what can we see here? So as you can see, it's just a regular Docker container, Kubernetes system running here. Nothing is pre-installed. It's just as it comes. So next thing is I have created a homogeneous account and I've just signed up. Yeah, nothing else. And this is what you are going to see. And now we are going to connect this cluster here on my local machine with this platform here. So I'm going to hit add cluster, type in the name. I'm going to call it Windows cluster and just hit enter. Great. So now I see I have to install a Helm chart. Great. So I'm selecting Windows for the Helm chart and I'm going to copy it, and it's always better to have a lot of terminal windows. So I'm going to paste my Helm chart here and I'm going to install it. So as you can see over here that the Helm chart is installed and our operator already started running. And now our operator is running here. It's fired up successfully. And as I can see here too, the cluster is already set up. So let's go to overview, and I can see my Windows machine has 24 cores. Docker makes 24 gigabytes available and 1 terabyte of storage. That's great. So next thing is we need to install all the components which are necessary to do the local environment. So to be honest, this view here is a little bit ugly. It will be really, really beautiful in the next couple of days. But the components we are going to need is, it's an ingress controller. The metric server needs to be up and running. Cert manager, some homogeneous components for monitoring. The internal container registry, which is distribution, and MetalLB as a load balancer. So let's spin all these components up. Install, 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 install. You can see here the hand charts are all executed by the operator. Install, install. Great. And the last two packets. Great. That's it. So all components are being installed and they are already up and running. That's great. So what we are waiting now for is that our load balancer IP is going to appear here. Just hop over to the workloads. As you can see, I can already see all the pods which are running and the namespaces. And in the overview, we now received a load balancer IP address over here. That's great. Perfect. So our local environment is now ready to rock. So let's create a project. So I'm going to select my just newly created Windows cluster here, and I'm call it test. Oh no, we are going to call it local dev. And we make it the English local. Great. So cool. So everything is up and running, and the easiest way to deploy something in my local cloud would now be to run a Docker image, so a container image. So I'm just going to install an Nginx, latest, hit enter, scroll down. Yeah, this is okay. And I'm going to type in the internal port, hit expose, and create the service. Great. So now, as you can see, in the cluster, it's already been scheduled, it's up and running, and my web UI is updating. Cool. Now it works. So go to the instance logs. I can see, yeah, cool. My Nginx is running here. So on the external host name, I click, and yeah, great. As you can see, it already has SSL enabled. And the cool thing is this host name is resolved to your local IP address. So we are using a bridging IP address or bridging adapter to do that. And this is really convenient because now you always have SSL, and this IP address here is always your local computer. Okay, so this is an ugly host name. So we are going to change this host name to Nginx and hit save. Cool. Everything is now deployed to Kubernetes again. And let's hit. Great. Now we have a nice looking host name. Okay. So that was the easy part and not that interesting, to be honest. I go back to the dashboard. Our Nginx is running. So next thing is we are going to deploy a demo application from GitHub. So I'm using a repository here. I'm going to continue with GitHub. I'm connecting my personal GitHub account. Awesome. And I'm looking for my Angular 1 demo application. So I already opened it up here. It's a pretty straightforward Angular application with a Docker file in it and yeah, nothing fancy. So I scroll down. It already has predefined CPU and memory usage, and the internal host name is also. So if I hit now create service, it will be created, and the Docker file will be built inside my local cluster, pushed into my local distribution registry, and then deployed to the Kubernetes cluster from my local container registry. So I'm going to do that right now. Great. Cool. So the building already started. You can see that here. And also the container is already started. But the new version is building right now. So this is going to take a couple of seconds, around a minute, I guess, because Angular application is quite heavy when building it and preparing the Docker image, which is limited by my internet bandwidth. So welcome to Germany with limited internet access. But that's the reason why it's a really good idea to do local Kubernetes development, because you don't need quite a big internet connection for that. Okay, another advantage is obviously that you have running everything on your local machine, so you can take it with you on your laptop. Oh, great, it's ready. So it's already doing a vulnerability scan here, and if it's done, we can also see the results of the scan. Maybe we have some vulnerabilities in it. It's quite an old Angular version, so I'm looking forward for a lot of vulnerabilities, which is great. So let's look into it. Yeah, that looks good. At least some vulnerabilities are found here. Great. So we have build logs, and we have also the instance logs. As you can see here now, Angular and the Nginx are running right now. So let's just jump into our Angular application. Cool, that's awesome. And you can see Angular app is up and running. Cool, so next thing would be like, I would like to change the code of my Angular application. So let's go back here to our system, and I've prepared my IDE for it. So this is the Angular application which is deployed right now. And let's see if we find one of the strings here. So, okay, what do we have here? App is running. Okay, so where do we have this string? Great. And let's add awesome to it. Going to save, and then git status, git add, git commit. Okay, and then I'm going to push it. But before I'm going to push it, I'm opening my window here again to make it visible. So I'm going to do a git push here. Great, and now my application is pushed, and as you can see here, the build has been triggered again. So the webhook of the GitHub repository is triggered and told our local Kubernetes cluster to trigger a rebuild. And now it has been rebuilded completely and rolled out. And now the deployment is in progress. I can see it's already working here. Deployment logs are good. Container has been started. Instance logs are up and running again. Great. So I go to my Angular application and do a refresh. And now I see awesome app is running. Great. So as you can see, we have a completely integrated local development environment using Kubernetes. And everything is done in just a few minutes of setup without any special Kubernetes knowledge going on. And this is what we do at Mogenius. If you would like to see more of this cool stuff, just hit the subscribe button. Have a great day, and thank you for your attention. Bye-bye.